Hey everybody, this is Josh Cook, aka Seizures Palace, and today we're about to go through Song of Week number 33. What I have for you today is something that's mid-tempo, and it's really based around this sort of gritty riff. Let's check it out. Alright, so here's a quick little sample of the song and its different parts. We have the main riff. A bendy version of that. And then a little sort of breakdown within that, or just like a more simplified version of that. And then later we have this riff. And then a little breakdown that leads back into the original riff. So let's talk about some of the things that are going on within this song. Just to be clear too, if we were to take a look at the master, actually I should mention that I've reduced it about 6 decibels to make up the difference of the mic, because this is not currently running through a compressor, and when I run it through Ableton I get latency. So with that said, the song has been brought down a little bit, but the RMS, the average volume, is at about -4, -5, which is where I like to have it sit during this whole loudness war BS. Let's go from the beginning. We have our kick drum. I'm just going to cue in the different layers so you can see how it all layers together. So kick drum, which is kick 2, even within kick 2, so I've done some shaping of it. There's a little bit, I believe, a little bit of EQ, just taking off some of the top end, a little bit of ring. So yeah, kick 2, customized patch going on there, a little bit of EQ afterwards, actually quite a bit of EQ, probably more than I need, to be honest. Kick drums and sub basses are still scary, so doing more helps with that apparently. Not really. Anyway, we're moving forward. I have some white noise effect, a little weird tambourine thing, so let's check those out separately, I guess. Like too classic for the white noise. Yeah, and this has been flattened down to audio. This is something similar to what I did in one of the last tracks. I think it was Gruel Tech, which was Song Week number 31, I believe. And I took some snaps from Drum Lab within Contact, and then I added some, basically an arpeggiator to it, and then I added some decapitator or some saturation to it afterwards. And it had a kind of cool sound, so I decided to try that with a tambourine, and then that's when you get... So it still kind of sounds like a tambourine, but it's more of like a spatial sort of effect. And you can see it's been flattened. You're not seeing the saturation here, but that's kind of the idea. We have an impact, nothing too special. We have this guy here. So it's sort of like a reduxed sound. It's meant to sound not the greatest, to be honest. There's the redux. I wonder if I can, I'm going to mess around with the downsampling a little bit and see if we can let it kind of sit a little bit more pretty, so to speak. I'm liking that. Let's go and listen to this pad. This was kind of inspired by Noisia. They have something really similar in Alpha Centauri, or whatever it's called. This one I want to explore for a second too. It's a little more distorted than I'd like. Take that back a bit. Yeah, just soften up that sound a little bit. So that's what's going on there. In terms of the main riff, there's a couple different layers. You have a sub, and that has an arpeggiator on it. I caution the idea of an arpeggiator on a sub bass, because you want your sub bass to be really foundational. You want it generally to be holding and to just really kind of fill out a lot of the bottom end of the mix. And you can see this has also been side chained over here. You can see the side chain compression. So it's only happening half of the time when the kick is not happening, and then it's kind of going doo-doo, 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 that sort of idea. But it's not as foundational as I would normally treat my subs. So this is something I was just messing around with this time. It sounds all right, but I wouldn't go and do that on every song. Just if you saw this and you're like, wow, that's how you do sub bass, I'll just do that from now on. It's not necessarily how you do sub bass. It's just one idea. And then, yeah, if we go over to this bass part, I just realized something actually. I should have, so good I do these videos because I end up catching so much. I'm going to set the rate to 8. That's not right. There we go. So now the sub bass is doing this. That's actually much better. And then I'm going to do the same thing over here at the end. And how did I stray off that path? Well, it has to do with this little part here. It's meant to be 16th notes in terms of how it's arpeggiated, and I guess I just didn't automate it. So there we go. That's automated now. How I didn't catch that, I don't know. But our ears slowly learn to catch those things. So moving over to, like I said, the bass as opposed to the sub bass. This is the meat and potatoes of the song as far as I'm concerned. It's my favorite sound here. Using silent, decapitator, some pretty extreme EQ up around 800 or so and 2K or so. Redux. Okay, so check it out. Without the decapitator, I mean the filter cutoff would make the sound a little bit cooler, I guess. Not in this case, actually, but decapitator got it warm and fuzzy. And then Redux just brightens it up. You know who does a lot of that, and Redux is the top end of their bass. And I should mention that is probably just the top end. Yeah, you can see some multi-band dynamics. So it's only reduxing everything above 446, and everything below 446 will be clean in this case. Is that right? Let's check this out. Yeah, okay, this is soloed here, and then for the Redux, we're soloed. Okay, yeah, so that's the case, and I was saying, you know who does that a lot is Overwork. Overwerk, all caps, if you want to appeal to his sense of branding. But he does that a lot. He reduxes or bit crushes the top end of his bass parts by isolating lower frequencies, keeping them relatively clean, and then bit crushing the top part. And I love that sound, and he got it from, I'm pretty sure, Daft Punk, and Daft Punk probably stole it from, I don't know, Kraftwerk, or who knows. But anyway, it's a really cool trick. It's lots of fun. Try it if you haven't tried it yet. It gives your bass lines a whole lot of crunch, and that's pretty awesome. It's pretty neat. Let's check this out. This is really just to add more grit on top. You can see the pitch information is hardly there. Just gritty. And then, well, I've taken you through a lot of the parts. A bit of a drum loop here. Just from my sample library. And then just swept out some of the lows. Limited it a little bit and did some side chain compression. Yep, that's set up. And, I mean, I could go through. This is really similar to how I do a lot of my songs. I have a little drum thing that's just for cymbals. One that's for claps and snares and other little things that are kind of similar. Bass drum tick. So you can see without that little tick. Give that, and then with this added. Just a little bit more punch on the kick. Not a whole lot, but a little bit. And yeah, I think I've taken you through all the parts. There was this little breakdown here. That's the only other thing. And this was played. I like to play really fast stuff sometimes. If you don't believe me, check out a dominant tonic stirred on my SoundCloud. That is Seizures Palace SoundCloud, and that's a fast one. And admittedly, I played it all at a bit of a slower tempo and then sped it back up. But it's all arpeggios, and if anyone wants to know why I called that song that, I'm going to quickly mention it now. It's called a dominant tonic stirred, which is a really weird title, because it's mostly going between the first note of the scale that I'm in and the fifth note. And in classical music, or Western music theory, they call the first note of a scale a tonic, and the fifth note the dominant. So tonic, dominant, right? So And then I was like, well, a dominant tonic kind of sounds like a drink, like a gin and tonic. So then I was thinking like James Bond, like stirred kind of thing. So dominant tonic stirred, that's how that got that crazy name. Anyway, here's this part. So you can see this was played. It's not quantized. It's not perfectly in time. Some of it is actually. Maybe I just quantized parts of it, not the top notes. I wonder if I should quantize those. Let's do that. All right. And then I'm going to lock any automation that I had. And we're good. Nah, maybe there's a reason why that wasn't quantized. Yeah, we're going to leave it like that. And then it swells down. And there's like a little echo that was leading into all this. Getting back into the bass line. And that is Rude and Mental. There it is. Very similar to a name from my first Seizures Palace album called Dopamine, like dopamine. Rude and Mental. Rudimental. And actually, Rudimental is really good. If you haven't checked them out, check them out. That's it for today. How long has this been? It's been 12 minutes, and it's not even noon. Got the rest of the day ahead of me. I'm going to post this up either this afternoon or tomorrow. Thank you so much for watching the 33rd Song a Week. Holy shremola. This is going fast. I'm going to look back on it like a little baby one day and be like, I remember when it was just at 22 weeks. Anyway, peace out, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and please do hit me up with any compositional challenges or recommendations that you might have. And I will see you next week. Peace.